Maryland Governor Wes Moore is on Capitol Hill today. He's meeting there with his state's congressional delegation and the director of the Office of Management and Budget. They're expected to discuss plans for an emergency aid package to support the Baltimore Bridge collapse response. CBS News congressional correspondent Scott MacFarlane is following all of this from Capitol Hill this morning. Hey, Scott, so what's the process for Governor Moore to request that emergency aid, and what can we expect from this meeting today?
Yeah, at any other time or moment, the governor wouldn't need to come here to argue for money to respond to a disaster. But this is not a normal time in Congress, not an ordinary era where even basic things are getting locked up in the gridlock here. So Governor Moore meets with the Biden administration's top budget official, the head of the Office of Management and Budget, and the Maryland congressional delegation here to figure out what to ask for, how much to ask for, and what to earmark it for. There's going to be some kickback from Republicans if the price tag is too hefty, because this is such a long-term endeavor to not only clear the channel, reopen the port, but then rebuild a bridge that took several years to build in the first place. One House Republican on the House Appropriations Committee tells CBS News he wants this request to be $100 million or less just to get started. To ask for more is too ambitious this early in the project. But clearly, Maryland's governor and congressional leaders don't want to shortchange this effort. They want money for the workers who've been idled. They want money to help fully clear out the remains of the Key Bridge. And they want to begin a process, no matter how far they get in the coming months, of restoration of a bridge that not only Maryland needs, but the interstate highway system needs as well.
Scott, let me ask you about Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas' impeachment. It's now headed to the Senate, as you know, after passing the House back in February. So the question, of course, is, are there any Democrats that might potentially vote for this impeachment?
There's no indication there's going to be anything close to a conviction in the Democratic-controlled U.S. Senate, nor is there any indication of any critical mass of Democrats switching over on this. This could happen so quickly, it might be more expedient than the eclipse was yesterday. This could take just minutes to begin and end. The Democrats control the Senate floor, and they can, as soon as those impeachment articles are delivered and the senators sit as jurors, dismiss it, knock it out. They've already argued emphatically, Vlad, that there's not enough sufficient merit to these impeachment articles to warrant an extended trial. What Republicans have argued is that the Homeland Security Secretary breached the public's trust and failed to enforce federal immigration law. What Democrats are saying is, even if you accept those accusations, they don't, but if you accept those accusations, it doesn't merit a high crime or misdemeanor, the sufficient level for impeachment. But here's the thing. No matter how they dispose of this thing on Thursday, it's going to be a milestone, because this is only the second time in U.S. history, and the first since the late 1800s, a cabinet member has been impeached.
And Scott, before we let you go, is there any movement on this bill that could lead to a TikTok ban if the company doesn't restructure its ownership?
A big push for that bill yesterday from the top Republican in the U.S. Senate. Mitch McConnell announced his support of this bill, which already passed the House. And you'll recall, Chanel, it requires TikTok to divest from its China-based owner or face a ban within 6 months in the United States. The House is already on board. The White House has said the president would sign it. The last piece here is the U.S. Senate. Now there's some real momentum building that the Senate could consider this before the end of the year. A perilous moment politically and legislatively for TikTok and its more than 150 million users.
Okay, Scott, thank you.